All right, ladies and gentlemen, we're going to do lesson 4, part 2. Here's what you should have so far. You should have a crab that moves around with keyboard control and sound. You should programmatically or using code add a crab and 3 lobsters, and you should programmatically add worms in random locations, and they shouldn't be up against the edges of the world. All right, here's the deal. We need to animate our crab, right? It's kind of lame that our crab just kind of looks like he's just floating around. He needs to look like he's walking around, right? All right, in order to do that, we need to switch between 2 images. Because this image, this image. So we're going to go like this, and it's going to give him the impression that he's walking around. But this is going to be challenging because we're going to have to learn about variables first. We're going to have to learn a lot of stuff before we use them. All right. And we're also going to learn about Greenfoot images. So we have a lot of learning to do before we actually get around animating. But that's the goal of all this learning, is to understand this stuff and to be able to animate our crab to switch between these 2 images to make him look like he's like going like this, walking around. Okay. Greenfoot provides the Greenfoot image class. We need to construct a new Greenfoot image object, right? So we have this. Basically, we're going to have this. Okay, so here's the deal, right? So let's say we have this crab actor that lives in the world, right? And he moves around, right? So we understand him a little bit. We understand the crab actor because we see him, right? We see him on the screen. But what we're going to do is we're going to create an object. He's this little robot guy, and he's going to hold an image, right? But he's going to be way over here off the screen. He's going to be doing stuff, but he's going to be living off the screen, and we can ask him to do stuff, and he'll do stuff, but we don't actually see this guy, so it's a little bit abstract, okay? So we're going to write this code eventually. Don't write it yet, but we're going to write Greenfoot image1 equals new Greenfoot image crab2.png. So basically, we're going to have one of these little robot guys that's going to be holding this image, and we're going to have one of these little robot image guys, a second one, who's going to be holding this image, and what we're going to do is like say, hey, you, give me that image, and you're going to use that image. And we're going to go to the next robot, hey, you, give me that image, and we're going to go with that. So basically, he can do all kinds of stuff to the image. He can rotate the image. He can change the color of the image. He can do all kinds of stuff to this image. But we're going to just have him do basic stuff. We're just going to say, hey, give me the image, and we get it, and we use it. And we're like, hey, give me the other image, and we're going to use it, right? So we have this Greenfoot image robot object, and he's going to hold some pictures for us, and we're going to use those pictures. All right. All right. Let's check the documentation of the actor class, and I want you to figure out what are 2 methods that allow us to change an actor's image, and write that down. What are their parameters? Write that down. What do they return? Write that down. And what do we have why do we have 2 methods with the exact same name? All right. So look that up in the actor documentation. Okay. So let's take a look at the actor documentation if you haven't done so already. So you're going to come over to your project, and you're going to go to actor, and here's the documentation of the actor. And so we're going to look through what methods in the actor are going to allow us to switch images. And so look through there and see what you can find. And it's these 2 right here. Set image, Greenfoot image, set image, java.lang.string. Okay, so we have, this is kind of interesting. We have set image and set image. We have 2 methods with the same name, but they have different parameters. Okay, this one, well, let's see what we can figure out here. Okay, so to change the image of the crab, we could write, okay, so let's see here. All right, what are the 2 methods that allow us to change an actor's image? Well, it's these 2, set image and set image. All right, what are their parameters? Well, this one requires a Greenfoot image, and this one requires a string. Okay. What do they return? Well, it's void. So you tell me, what do they return? What do they return? And why do we have 2 methods with the same name? Well, I don't know if you figured it out. Maybe you did, maybe you didn't. But basically, so we could set the image using, there's just two different things. We could set the image using a Greenfoot image robot, or we could set it using the file name in quotation marks. So if you know the name of the file. So if you look right here, So we could use this one. So we could say set image, new Greenfoot image, crab2.png, and that would assume that crab2.png image is in the images folder. So that would work just fine. But we're not going to do it that way. We want to use the Greenfoot image robot, right? Mostly because it's a good way to learn about it. Okay, what is the name of the method? What is its return type? Well, one is this. Oh no, here's the return type. Okay. What is this parameter data type? Well, one has this and one has this. So this means letters and quotation marks. This means this guy right here. So it's a Greenfoot image object robot that can do all kinds of stuff with the picture. Okay. Okay, so we're going to spend a lot of time creating this Greenfoot image, right? We want to create a Greenfoot image robot so that we can use it to set the image. The Greenfoot object is going to be stored in a variable, so we're going to create that robot and we're going to store them in a variable, which we haven't learned about yet. We will learn how to make an instance variable, field, and store our Greenfoot object inside it. So we got a lot to do. All right, now let's talk about this. List things that an instance of a class, an object of Master Chief needs to remember, right? So when you're playing Halo, I think it's what, 5 now? When you're playing Halo 5 and you have an instance of, so somebody made a Master Chief class, right? And so you're going to make one. So you're going to make an instance of that Master Chief class and put one in your game. And there's things that he needs to remember. What kind of things does Master Chief need to remember for your game to go well? And then why would we want to get rid of all this information when Master Chief dies? Okay, see if you can figure that out. All right. Write these notes down. Instance variable field is just write this in your paper, on your line paper notes. Hit pause and write that. Okay, hit pause. Oh, wait, hold on. Let's answer this. The kind of things that Master Chief needs to remember is like, okay, well, you could have 5 different weapons, and you need to remember which weapons he actually has, right? If he picks up a new weapon, you need to remember that. If he picks up grenade, like a 10-pack of grenades, it's pretty important that he remembers that. If he throws all of his grenades, it's probably important to know that he doesn't have any more grenades, right? And so the idea is like you're playing and you pick up guns and weapons and grenades and new shields and all this stuff, right? But if this Master Chief dies, do you want to save all that information? And the answer is no. You want to get rid of that, because if you kept storing all the information for Master Chief after Master Chief after Master Chief, eventually your RAM is going to get totally filled up, and then the Xbox or the PC is going to crash, or the PlayStation, or no, it's not for PlayStation, is going to crash because you don't have enough space in the RAM, right? So you store the stuff while Master Chief is alive, right? Because he needs to know that, right? But as soon as he dies, you get rid of that and you start with a new Master Chief, and then all that new information for him belongs to him as he's picking up stuff. All right, we already wrote this down. All right, get out your handouts. So this is how. So we're going to make. Oh, let's talk about this. Instance variable field is a bit of memory in the computer's RAM that belongs to the object or the instance of the class. Okay, so like, so anyway, so we have a box called weapon 1, right? And it's like, oh, I picked up one of the aliens' weapons, right? So the needler, right? We picked up a needler. Oh, okay, what's in weapon 1? Oh, that's a needler. So it's like a box in the RAM that stores your stuff. So if this is Master Chief, right? It's like, oh, right now, oh, the box is empty. He doesn't have a secondary weapon. Oh, if he picks up one, we'll put a needler in there. It's like, oh, okay, well, let's switch over to weapon number 1. Oh, there it is. Okay, so it's like, so you have your Master Chief, and then you have the box holding all his weapons and his ammo, and then when that Master Chief dies, okay, he goes away, and the boxes all go away, and then you get it. So that RAM is cleared out, right? Anything that is stored in the box will be remembered as long as the object exists, right? So we have to create a bunch of little boxes for our characters to store useful information that they need. Okay. All right. So we need to make a box, right? So for our crab, we're going to make a box that's going to store this guy so that we have that image, right? Okay. So how do we do that? Well, here's how we do it. So we say private. So the first thing is it public or private? And then the variable type. what type of thing can go into the box, and then the variable name. What are we going to name this box for? So for us, we're going to say private. So the only person who can use the image is the crab. And then what kind of thing can go in the box? A Greenfoot image object. And then what's the name of the box? Image1. So that's how we're going to create our first instance variable or field. Okay, so here's the code that we're going to write. By the way, people are going to want to write this whole thing. Don't write this whole thing because this line of code already exists. So hold tight. We're going to write this eventually, but don't do it yet. Okay, in this example, we have declared two variables, image1 and image2. So we have a box called image1. We have a box called image2 in our crab class. Both are of type Greenfoot, so the only thing that can go into this, if I try to put the number 2 in there, it can't go in there. If I want to put the word hello in there, it can't go in there. If I want to put a Greenfoot image object in there, it can go in there. Okay, they're type Greenfoot. The name is image1 and image2. Our crab now has two boxes. Now, our crab now has two empty boxes, right? What can go into the two boxes? What is the name of the first box? Who can access the box? Okay, and I'm going to give this one to you because, well, I'm showing this stuff, but actually with this code, this is what can go. A Greenfoot image object can go in there, but at this point, the boxes are empty. All right, what can go into the two boxes? Only a Greenfoot image robot, right? Or Greenfoot image object. What is the name of the first box? Image1. Who can access the box? It's private, so the only person who can access it is this object in the world. If there's a second crab, he can't access these things because it's private. If we made it public, then other people could. All right, when we write this down in your notes. When we create a new variable, it's called a declaration. So this is an instance variable declaration. We will always write instance variable declarations at the top of our class before the constructors and the act method and other methods. All right, so we have public class crab extends animal. We have our opening curly brace that's already there, and then we hit enter, and right there is where we're going to create our instance variables. All right, right-click a crab object in your world and select inspect. What variables are shown? Why do you think that the crab has variables even though we have not declared any yet? All right, so let's take a look at this. All right, so we're going to go to our project. We're going to hit reset here, and I'll move the crab here. I'm going to right-click on the crab, and I'm going to go to inspect. Okay, and so take a look at this. Look at all of these boxes that our crab has. He has an int, an x, and a y coordinate. He has a rotation. He has a world that he lives in. He has the Greenfoot image that he's currently using. Anyway, so he has all kinds of variables, right? Now, the question here is he's got all those instance variables, but if we look up here, we haven't written this code yet. We have not created any instance variables. So the question is, where did all those come from, right? So we have our little crabby with all these instance variables. Where did they come from? Where's my PowerPoint? Okay, what variables are shown? You don't have to write all of them, but write like 3 of them. Why do you think the crab has variables even though we have not declared any yet? That's a good question. All right, add the variable declaration shown below. Inspect your crab object again. What are your new boxes? Okay, so what we're going to do is we're going to type in this code together. So we're going to come over here. We're going to go to our crab. Okay, so that's who we're talking to now because we want to give him some instance variables. We want to give him some images. Okay, so we're going to go right here. Public class crab extends animal. We're going to hit enter, and we're going to say private. Okay, and then we're just going to copy and paste this. Okay, but this guy's name is going to be image2. All right, and so now we're going to compile that, make sure there's no errors, and so now we're going to take a look at our guy, and we're going to inspect him now. Look at this. We just created 2 new boxes. We have image1 and image2. All right, so hopefully you can answer the question here. So let's minimize these guys. Get this out of the way. Okay. What are your new variables and their values? What's the value? What's the value of this thing? Okay. Null, what does that mean? It means empty. We do not have two Greenfoot objects, just some, so we have empty boxes, right? We have not, so we have empty boxes. Eventually we can put our object or our Greenfoot image robot in there, but right now they're null. In the next section, we will fill the boxes and then use the image objects inside of them. So anyway, now we have our empty boxes, and eventually we will create our Greenfoot image objects. All right, when we create a new variable, is called a declaration. Okay, so private Greenfoot image1 is an instance variable declaration. We will always write instance variable declarations at the top of our class before the constructors and the act method and other methods. Okay, here's the quiz. This is hard. So give these a shot, and you're going to probably have to ask for some help. All right, get that done, and that's it. Go on to part 3.